Some punishments were designed to end quickly, but these were designed to make sure they last till death. One execution method left victims hanging in public for days before death finally came, and another used insects, honey, and starvation to slowly destroy a person from the outside in. And I think that's the worst. These are the punishments history remembers as the cruelest ever carried out. Starting off with the first and the easiest punishment of all, the wheel that was built to break you before it killed you. Picture a large wooden wheel. Now picture a person tied to it. That's where the breaking wheel gets its name. And its nickname, the Catherine wheel, hides just how horrifying it actually was. This punishment spread across medieval Europe and stayed in use for over 600 years. It was reserved for the worst offenders, murderers, rebels, people the state wanted the public to remember. The executioner didn't use a blade, he used a hammer. One by one, he broke the condemned person's arms and legs, deliberately, slowly, in front of a crowd. Once every limb was shattered, the body was woven through the spokes of the wheel and hoisted into the air, left there for everyone to see. Sometimes the victim was already dead by that point. Sometimes they weren't. And if they weren't, death still wasn't quick. It came from shock, from exposure, from infection setting into open wounds while crowds walked past for days. The wheel wasn't just an execution. It was a warning sign, built out of a human body and left standing in the middle of town. But even this wasn't the method one ruler became infamous for. His name is still used today as a symbol of terror. Next punishment is the one by which Rome used to control an empire with. Rome didn't invent crucifixion, but Rome perfected it. And they saved it for one purpose only, making an example out of someone. This wasn't for petty theft. Crucifixion was reserved for the crimes Rome feared most: treason, rebellion, slaves who dared to fight back. The process itself was almost mechanical. The condemned was nailed or tied to a wooden cross. Then the cross was lifted upright. And that's when the real punishment began. Death didn't come from the wounds. It came slowly, from exhaustion, blood loss, and suffocation, as the body's own weight made it harder and harder to breathe. Victims could hang there for days, in agony, in public, on display for anyone walking by. Because that was the entire point. Rome wasn't just punishing one person. They were sending a message to everyone watching. This is what happens when you defy us. The most famous victim of crucifixion is known around the world today, but he was far from the only one. Historians believe Rome crucified thousands of people. Some accounts describe roads lined with crosses for miles, a warning system built out of human suffering. And crucifixion wasn't even the slowest way Rome's enemies were made to die. There's one method still to come on this list that makes crucifixion look merciful.
Our third method is the one that turned one ruler into a legend of horror. His name was Vlad III. You might know him better as Vlad the Impaler. And the name wasn't an exaggeration. Impalement existed in multiple cultures, but Vlad turned it into something else entirely. A signature, a weapon of fear on its own. The method was as brutal as it sounds. A long, sharpened wooden stake was driven through the victim's body, in through the lower abdomen, out through the chest, the throat, or the mouth. Then the victim, still alive in many cases, was left upright to die slowly from the injury and the position they were forced into. This could take hours. It could take days. And Vlad didn't do this to a handful of people. Historians estimate his victims numbered in the thousands. He left the impaled bodies displayed in public, rows of them, so that anyone approaching his territory saw exactly what waited for his enemies before they ever reached him. It worked. Entire invading armies reportedly turned back at the sight of it. Vlad didn't just punish people, he weaponized fear itself. Now, out of all the punishments I fear, the device you could never escape once the door closed. The Iron Maiden looks like something out of a nightmare, a human-shaped iron cabinet, lined on the inside with spikes. And historians still debate how often it was actually used, but the fear it represents was very real. Here's how it was said to work. The victim was placed inside. The door was shut, and the spikes lining the interior pierced the body the moment it closed. But these spikes weren't positioned to kill instantly. They were positioned to make sure death took time. Victims could remain trapped inside for days, in total darkness, unable to move. Every breath, every shift in position driving the spikes deeper. It was used as much for psychological terror as physical pain, because the worst part wasn't the spikes themselves. It was knowing there was no way out once that door was shut. Whether or not it was used exactly as legend describes, the Iron Maiden became the ultimate symbol of a certain era of justice. But the final punishment on this list didn't use spikes, or blades, or fire. It used something far stranger. And the last one is the execution method that let nature do the killing. In ancient Persia, one punishment was reserved for the most serious crime imaginable: treason. It was called scaphism, and it didn't rely on a single weapon. The condemned was placed inside a small, confined vessel, sometimes described as a hollowed-out boat, restrained completely, unable to move. Then their body was covered in honey and milk, not as a mercy, as a method. The sweetness attracted insects, swarms of them, and the victim was left in the sun, exposed, while the insects did what no executioner needed to lift a hand for. Bites turned into infections. Infections spread. And on top of that, the victim was slowly starving and dehydrating, trapped with no way to defend themselves. Death, when it finally came, could take days. Some accounts claim even longer. It's considered one of the most drawn-out execution methods ever recorded in human history. And it makes something clear about every punishment on this list. The goal was rarely just death. The goal was making sure death took as long and hurt as much as humanly possible. 5 punishments. 5 methods built not just to end a life, but to make sure everyone watching never forgot what they saw. Crucifixion, the breaking wheel, impalement, the Iron Maiden, and scaphism. Modern justice systems have moved past all of this, but for centuries, this is what the law actually looked like. So if this kept you watching until the end, make sure you're subscribed, because there's a lot more history like this coming. I'll see you in the next one.